Hi YouTube. This is the second part of my once a month cooking. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how to get started and what you need, and I'm going to give you a recipe and give you some tips on what me and my family do to help cut down on some costs, because I know that that's a big deal now because our gas prices are high and cost of living has gone up. So first thing you need is you need a deep freezer. The deep freezer I have is one of the smallest deep freezers you could buy. It's a 5 cubic square deep freeze. It's a Kenmore. I bought it at Sears. You can buy it offline. I got it. It was like $149. It was like $160 something after taxes. And they brought that to my home and set that up. So that was really nice. I've had it for 5 years. So Kenmore is a great brand. It has been a lifesaver. I bought that during nursing school, and it has lasted this long, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's no problem. So usually a deep freezer life expectancy is like 10 years. My parents have had one for 20, and my aunt has had one for 30. So, but theirs are very large and very big. But they do last a long time. Their expectancy is a long time. I keep mine in the garage, and so it keeps everything frozen and cool, and it's hotter than hell outside because I live in Texas. And if I don't know if you have seen the weather reports or anything like that down here, but it is hotter than hell, and it's like 100 degrees and plus some, and there's no breeze. Usually we get a breeze, and there's no breeze. It's just hot air being blown, so we're baking down here. So it keeps everything nice and cold in the garage, and that's not air conditioned or anything like that. So just to let you know. The next thing you're going to need is, of course, cooking utensils, bowls, spatulas, spoons, all of your ingredients. And then you're also going to need, which you could buy these at Dollar Tree. I don't know if y'all have a Dollar Tree or dollar store. You could even buy them at Walmart. They're a couple bucks, but they're the tin foil. I think they come 2 to a pack with lids. And you're going to need some saran wrap. So let me tell you a little bit about things that I do to cut down costs. First of all, usually I find meat, I buy in bulk. I buy a lot of it whenever I buy it because I try to find it on sale. For example, Albertsons just had a crazy 88-cent sale. I don't know if y'all have Albertsons. Usually people have Kroger's or Piggly Wigglies or whatever. If you find meat at a really good price, buy it. Don't wait, buy it. Get it then if you can afford it. I understand if your budget doesn't permit. And so Albertsons had this crazy 88-cent sale on chicken, and it was chicken breast and all of the chicken had is on the bone, and it has fat on it. So what I do is I'll buy that. I bought wings restaurant style, which I did make like baked, not fried, which gave me chicken wings. And I took some Buffalo Wild Wing sauce that I bought at our local Buffalo Wild Wings. You can use any kind of hot wing sauce or whatever. I baked it, seasoned it, baked it in foil, took it out, and then I just dipped it in the, or you can coat it, it doesn't matter, with the sauce. Now, usually with my meat, if it comes on the bone, especially breast, the breasts are the big thing. I take it off the bone and I de-skin it because the skin is total fat, and you don't want that. All of my meat, I usually take off the fat. Like my legs and my thighs, I leave on the bone, and of course the wings. But I take off the skin because it just adds more fat to your nutritional content, and you don't want that. So this time I couldn't buy the breasts because they were out, so I got a rain check. And every grocery store usually has rain checks for their ads, unless their ads say no rain checks, limited availability and all that. So just read your circulars and make sure that you know what you're doing when you go in there. Second of all, I'm going to give you a recipe today, and it's going to be probably a very simple recipe. I'm going to do meatloaf and mashed potatoes for you. and walk through what you're going to need and how to do it. Um, but I was also going to tell you that when I do buy in bulk of meat, things like meat and stuff like that, freezer items, I take and buy freezer bags. You can buy the quart, the gallon, whatever size you need, and cut it down to the portion that you and your family use. I usually take and do for 4 because that'll give us one meal to eat, and then it'll give us dinner to take to work the next day. So usually I do a 4-person portion on anything, and I package it that way. And I strip off the fat before I store it. This time I didn't. My husband helped, and I asked him, so I'm not gonna. You don't gripe whenever your husband helps. And then you just package it away, and that's what I do. The freezer, I'm gonna have. There's a lot of things in there. Probably 4 weeks worth of food in my freezer right now. Just to let you know, this keeps a lot of food, and I'm gonna have the guys clean that out. Which my husband, we have a roommate, by the way, so my husband will have, I can have his friend come over and look and see if he can cook stuff from whatever I have. And if he can, I want him to use it. I want him to use it all, because by the time my surgery is over and when I can start eating some solid foods, I want to be able to start doing this once a month cooking. I'm already starting doing a little bit of it. But for the meatloaf and the mashed potatoes, I'm gonna do this for our trip and take it down there and put it in the freezer. We got a little hotel that has a kitchen and a separate bedroom and a living room area. It's like a little suite, and it keeps you from going out to eat, and that's what I want my family to do. I don't want them to spend extra money on eating out. So I'm gonna freeze 2 dinners. The one dinner that I'm gonna tell you, the meatloaf and the mashed potatoes, I'm gonna do 2 pounds of hamburger meat, and it's gonna be 93% lean hamburger meat. And the 2 pounds will feed approximately about 8 people, and that's exactly what I'm going to have, is probably 8. A little less, but about 8 people. So I'm going to do 2 pounds of hamburger meat. I also use 1 whole onion. I use 1 to 1.5 green bell peppers. If you don't like them, you can cut those out. I understand people don't like green bell peppers, because I don't, but I do. I have started cooking with it because my husband likes them, and I just eat through them, and plus it helps with my veggie intake. And all I do is I dice both of those up. I de-seed the bell pepper and de-vein it, take away the veins, and then cut them into, cubed. I cube it and dice it. I also put 2 to 3 eggs in there, probably 3 to 4 since it's 2 pounds. And then I use 1/4 to 1/2 cup of breadcrumbs. Now, people usually use saltine crackers, or my mom used to use unflavored cornflakes. And I will tell you, the breadcrumbs by far pass any cracker or any cornflake ever. And they're very cheap. You could buy them at Walmart in a Great Value brand. For like $1.50. They're very cheap. They're not expensive, and you don't use the whole tub. You use like 1/4 of a cup or whatever, and it'll suffice you like several meals. Breadcrumbs will. Anyways, and then I use a package of Lipton onion soup mix. You can actually find that in the Great Value brand at Walmart for cheaper if you're on a budget. And it tastes just the same. All the products that are Great Value brand or off brand, they are the same thing. There's no difference, and just a price change. It's kind of like pharmaceuticals. If you're going to buy Tylenol, Aleve, or anything like that, don't buy the name brand. I'm a nurse. I'm telling you, use the off brand. It is cheaper, and it is the same product. I'm telling you. So just to let you know. And then you're going to take all of that, plus I use salt and pepper, and I mince up 2 or 3 cloves of garlic. So I'll probably do 6 for this one, and do fresh garlic and use garlic pepper. So you have all these flavors going on, and you mix all of it together, and you take one of those tinfoil pans that I told you to buy, and you're going to mix up your meatloaf. And with meatloaf, you have to get your hands dirty. So if you want gloves with those, that's fine. I don't like to touch meat, so I do mine. that way. And you mix it all together. You know how to mix it up. You just take and you just mix it together. You can use a spoon if you want to. If you don't want to touch the meat and can't afford gloves, I understand. But you just mix it all together. You mix every single ingredient together. And you put that in the bottom of your pan. I press mine. Usually I make an oval shaped meatloaf because it's rounded. But this time, well, I may do oval rounded shaped and away from the edges. You want it away from the edges so the grease can escape if there's any grease. So do an oval. It's going to be heaping. It's going to heap up like this, and it's going to come down. And you want it oval. That way the fat has air, drainage area, so it'll drain out. So you won't have too much fat in there. And I'm using a lean cut meat anyway, so it's good to get rid of the rest of the fat. And it'll, if you don't pack it down to the sides, you could tell whenever it's done because it'll start crisping and browning on the edges. And that's really nice. And meatloaf is a lot like cake. If you stick a toothpick through it and pull it out and it's got slimy meat on it, or if the meat tries to fall apart and come with the toothpick, you know it's not done. So just bake it till it's done. And you can cut it, down the middle or whatever, the thickest part, you can cut it and make sure that there's no red. If you see red, don't eat it. Keep cooking. Usually it takes about an hour to an hour and a half. You're pretty safe. Meatloaf is very hard to overcook, just to let you know. It's very hard to overcook. So probably about an hour and a half. An hour to an hour and a half, excuse me. And but you make your meatloaf, you put it in the oval shape and bring it to a heel, and in the tinfoil pan, you take your saran wrap and you saran wrap the pan. You put the saran wrap right over the meatloaf on the pan and secure the edges down. Then you're going to take the little plastic lid that comes with the tinfoil. You have to have that plastic lid. It is detrimental. You have to have it. And you put that on top of the saran wrap and snap it down. You could even tape it if you don't feel comfortable with just putting that in there like that. And basically you're going to stack it, or you're going to put it in your freezer and let that freeze, just solid, just the meatloaf with the mixture, all that, the heel, whatever. You're going to freeze that. Then I'm going to have mashed potatoes with it. So I'm going to take real potatoes. You can use instant mashed potatoes, but don't freeze those. Make those the day of, if you don't know how to make mashed potatoes with the real potatoes, but a lot of people do. So, and I like the taste of the real potatoes. So I take and I peel the potatoes and I chunk it up and I put it in a pan to boil. I drain off the potatoes and I mash them up, or I put them in my mixer and just like mix it up with Promise. I use either Promise or I Can't Believe It's Not butter, so you're not adding in the fat from margarine or real butter. And I take a little bit of milk and I leave a little bit of chunk. You don't want them whipped or anything like that. You just want them mashed. So I use salt and pepper to season it, and that's it. You put that in a plastic container like a butter bowl or a Rubbermaid bowl or something like that with a lid, but you're going to put the saran wrap on top of that too, and then you're going to secure the lid on top of that. The saran wrap, what that does is it keeps your stuff from freezer burning, and it keeps it keeps the freshness in and bad stuff out, basically. When you get ready to make your meal, and this is step 2 of the freezing process and the once a month dinner, you take it out the night before, put it in the refrigerator, let it de-thaw. Then you're going to put it in the oven the next day on 350 degrees for an hour to an hour and a half. Now at the hour mark, you're going to take ketchup and you're going to squeeze all over it and spread it around and put it back in the oven and let it bake down for a little bit so that it adheres to the meat. You're going to microwave your potatoes. You're going to take the saran wrap off of each one of those. You don't want to bake or microwave anything with saran wrap. And you're going to take the lids off, of course. And then you're ready to serve. That's it. It's done. And that is meatloaf recipe for once a month cooking. I'll see y'all later. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time whenever